Porsche's notorious Widowmaker 930 doesn't just thrill. It plays with your nerves until you're convinced it's out to get you. The 1975 Porsche 911 Turbo, also known as the 930 or the Widowmaker, is a beast of a machine. It's not just a car. It's a force of nature, taunting me like it wants to drag me into the abyss. Right now, it's just giving me attitude. This particular 930, a rare gem from Porsche's museum in Stuttgart, has been flown to California for Monterey Car Week, and I'm trying to handle it delicately. But the car has other ideas, bucking, jolting, and fighting me every step of the way. When I finally get the clutch engaged, it feels like I'm driving an underpowered VW Beetle, not the legend everyone fears. But patience pays off. I keep my foot planted, coaxing the revs higher. At 3,000 RPM, the turbo stirs. At 3,500, it's like a storm is brewing. But where's the famous punch? Just as I start to doubt the legend's BAM, at 4,000 RPM, the turbo hits like a freight train, force-feeding air into the engine like it's trying to keep an entire team breathing. Suddenly, we're no longer accelerating. We're hurtling towards the horizon with attached needles spinning wildly, the calm rumble of the engine now a furious roar. The world around me becomes a blur. This isn't just acceleration, it's a full-blown assault on the senses. Now, I know people often exaggerate about legendary cars, but let me tell you, this 930 is fast. Not just fast, wickedly fast. And I don't mean that in the Bostonian sense. The 930 was the first turbocharged 911, designed with a whale-tail spoiler and wide rear to keep its notorious handling in check. Back in 1976, it hit 60 miles per hour in 6.1 seconds, a blistering number in the Malaise era, though tame by today's standards. But numbers don't tell the whole story. The first few seconds feel sluggish, but once that turbo kicks in, it's like you're running from something sinister. It's cold fingers reaching for you, especially on anything less than perfectly dry roads. With 256 horsepower, it feels like there are two cars under the hood, one underpowered before 4,000 RPM and another possessed afterward. And now I'm grappling with a new problem. I'm tearing down a narrow, twisty California road in a car nicknamed the Widowmaker by people far more skilled than me. The thrill masks the creeping realization that I may be in over my head. The 930 feels solid, its tires gripping the pavement, the steering wheel feeding me constant feedback. But is it as in control as it seems? Air-cooled 911s, especially the turbo, have a reputation for going from stable to treacherous in the blink of an eye. If I push too far, this car could easily go tail first off the road like an Olympic hammer throw. And then there's the notorious gearbox. The 930's four-speed transmission feels like it's missing gears. Second tops out at 90 miles per hour, with third and fourth acting as overdrives. You don't want to go too slow because if the revs drop below 4,000 RPM, you'll be crawling out of that corner. Too fast, and you might not make it out at all. The brakes, thankfully, offer a reassuring link to sanity, until they betray you by unloading the rear at the wrong moment. That's the evil genius of the 930. Just when you think you've got control, it reminds you who's boss. And yet, despite all this, the car whispers in my ear, urging me to push harder. Don't back off, it says. You're fine, keep going. It's seductive, luring me into driving it like a modern car, convincing me everything's under control. But is it? How close to the limit am I? Am I already too far into the darkness to turn back? Then the turbo hits again, and suddenly, I'm questioning if the darkness might just be where this car belongs.